Hello and welcome back to Thunderstorm. I'm Kaznarius, and with me is the nameless guest,
Yayo, yayo.
and Sliver.
Yayo, yayo.
Dreamin'. Don't give it Thunder Club. Alright, we have, after a long and arduous journey, completed live action One Piece. I just released this last Thursday. It's been an interesting reception compared to the usual riffraff when it comes to live action shows. Sliveroni, how do you feel about this one?
I think they did a pretty decent job on it, honestly. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting this to be your normal live-action Western anime adaptation where it's incredibly cringe, but also just bad. And this wasn't that. It was different than I expected. They took a lot of creative liberties that I wasn't expecting them to take.
We are going full spoilers from the hop.
Yeah.
So, if you don't care about spoilers, cool. If you do, get out of here, watch it, come back.
I do like what they did when we're talking about the way the show is structured, and that it makes sense that they're gonna show you this instead of being like, okay, like we're getting introduced Kobe for like an episode, and then like Kobe's gone for the rest of the season. Kobe doesn't matter anymore. I like that they ran both stories side by side.
Okay.
That was an interesting take.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I'm not sure how much I like that part of it. The fact that they kept going back to Kobe and Garp. Largely because I just felt I wanted more Straw Hats. And so constantly having to jump back to the Marines, I felt hurt some of the time with the Straw Hats themselves. Because they had to cut a decent number of things just out.
Yes.
And I don't like that. I would have liked to have these things in the show. I think it specifically, like, I don't know, Sanji, I think it really hurts that the Baratier was never truly attacked by anything like that dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Arlong showed up, beat up Luffy, and then just left.
Yeah.
Like, the ship was never really in danger the way it is when Don Krieg shows up in, like, normal One Piece.
Yeah.
And because of that, I never felt like it wasn't as big a deal when like Sanji jumped in the water to save Luffy, the way he does at the end of the Don Krieg fight.
Yeah, this is certainly like a more chipper Sanji. I noticed that. Like he's very, very often smiling in almost every scene we have him in.
Very rarely smoking.
Yeah. He's not as jaded and pissed off as he is in when we originally see him. But we're just to get a temperature check.
I was just using that as an example of something I felt like if they had more time, they probably could have had Don Krieg, not maybe to the full extent of the actual Don Krieg fight.
Yeah.
If they had just cut like most of this Marine stuff. Also because I don't think the Marine stuff really comes to a head all that great. I think the fight with Garp I like, but it's also just like a strange like you were testing me.
Yeah,
I didn't really like that part too much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel if you were going to have a Marine that was chasing them throughout it, it should have just been Smoker.
Yes,
it shouldn't have been Garp. It should have just been Smoker.
I want to back up a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I didn't ask you, like, how do you feel generally about this?
In general, I'm pretty positive, I think.
Yeah.
Which is, I expected to go into this, and I was expecting total, like, dog shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I was expecting something along the lines of that. I didn't watch the Cowboy Bebop one, but I didn't hear anything good about it. And I was expecting something on lines with that. I did watch the Death Note one.
Yeah.
And that was garbage.
I forced you to watch that with me. That was a fun one.
It was funny garbage, don't get me wrong. Like, I had a kind of a fun time watching it, but it was not good. This, I had a pretty okay time. I would say its biggest flaw is just that at no point is it ever better than actual One Piece. Like, if someone were to ask me what they should watch, I would say watch actual One Piece. Well, actually, I would say to read One Piece, but that's that's me. I would say that's its biggest flaw is that it never truly beats out the original. Which is basically what I expected. I wouldn't have expected it to ever beat out the original. But at least it didn't totally shit the bed.
Yeah. So one thing I'll say was pretty consistent because it really just starts with the first episode, in that I went in expecting cringe, and you see all these normal, dingy Pirates of the Caribbean looking normal people. And then within a crowd is the one person who's obviously the anime character with obvious anime character hair, and I'm like, okay, it was to the point where for the first 4 episodes, I legitimately just started laughing whenever I saw a fucking person who was a main character or a main villain, because they look so out of fucking place in this world. But then you kind of get used to it, and it's okay, it did win me over. I expected there to be a giant disassociation, but it does wear off and kind of become its own thing by the end. Yeah. Interestingly enough,
I'll actually say throughout most of this, I think the costuming is largely very well done.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not the biggest fan of Buggy having this kind of Joker messy makeup kind of look, but outside of that, I think the costuming is largely on point. The fishmen look kind of weird, but I don't think they were ever going to look not weird.
No.
What do you think, Sliver? How do you feel about the character designs and stuff?
Character designs were pretty good for the most part. There are a couple that I'm like, yeah, that's an anime character. Especially when we were over in Syrup Village and we had Kuro's henchman there. I'm like, oh yeah, those are anime characters. This man has weird half bald head, curly hair.
How about when we were in the fucking Kanopi Islands? Fuck, I always Kanopi Islands, Konomi Islands, whatever.
Konomi Islands.
Konomi Islands. When it was a group of really dingy townspeople, and then there's Nami's sister, who's
and then there's Nojiko.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Well,
I don't know. You might as well have a sign saying anime over her. I don't know. It's.
I don't think it would have been as egregious if they gave Genzo his pinwheel, but Genzo didn't have his pinwheel, so 0 out of 10 show.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that.
No,
yeah, they had to make the pinwheel thing some weird thing with Nojiko, Nami, and Bellamere, and making pinwheels out of tangerine peels.
With how far they went with all the costumes, I'm actually shocked that they didn't. That is a very good point. I guess they didn't have enough time to
buy a 99-cent pinwheel.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the pinwheel relevant to the story?
It's relevant to his character.
Okay, yeah. So I guess they just didn't have enough time to show that backstory. And
yeah.
But
Genzo showed the backstory with Genzo and Nami, so it should have been there.
Yeah, they do. It's a lot more reduced than it is. Where in normal One Piece, he's almost he's basically the closest thing that Nami has to a father figure.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. There's also some changes to the story around that point that I'm not happy with, where the village is unaware of what Nami is doing. In normal One Piece, the village is 100% aware that Nami is doing everything for them. And in this one, the villagers are we never knew. We're so sorry. It's no, that's not the case. That's not how that works, and I don't like that change.
No, and in One Piece, compared to One Piece. Like it's a different perspective, and it's probably not a good one. I do like it better that in the manga it was like, yeah, we knew you were doing this, we just didn't let you know we knew. It's like you do your thing to help protect us kind of deal. And this time it was like, yeah, no.
Speaking of things we don't like, do you guys have like a one scene? If you guys were to pick a one scene that you just like, yeah, they fucked that one up. What
Luffy,
would it be?
he didn't explode out of the barrel at his debut. He just kind of climbed out.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Luffy, like, honestly, throughout this, I felt that they were too conservative and getting like ridiculous with some things.
Yeah.
Like in Arlong Park, they demolished the gate in the manga.
Yeah.
Like it is blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
They do not do that. They kind of like open it up real fast or something, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And there's a lot of that. Like every character feels like really nerfed, I guess, in comparison to what they're capable of in the manga.
Yeah.
Which I get that why they would do that in live action. It feels like weird for characters to do like a lot of superhuman stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what One Piece is at its core. Like a lot of characters are just like ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
And they should have embraced that more. So I feel like there's a lot of scenes where a character should have just been able to do something. Like in when they're captured by Buggy and Zoro is tied up. He gets out because the guy throws a knife badly and cuts the rope. Zoro should have just been able to break the wood.
That's true, actually.
Like Zoro should have just like broken the wood, and they should have still been tied to his hands.
And that would track with the show because Zoro is strong enough to carry that big ass safe. Like,
yeah,
he is canonically strong in the show. So, no, agreed. There is a bit of weird.
They did translate some
power
things
scaling.
in interesting ways when you mentioned that safe, because Zoro carries that safe the exact same way that he carries the cage that Luffy is trapped in
Right.
the actual manga.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it's referencing there, which because they never put Luffy in a cage like that is probably the best. Like it's a good way to do it if you don't want to put Luffy in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I can appreciate that you did that. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the Buggy section. That section is like so changed from the original.
Yeah.
Now,
I think. Sorry.
Now, speaking of putting Luffy in a cage, what I haven't liked, and I noticed throughout the length of the series, Luffy can get like a teacup thrown on him, and now he's like, oh I can't move. Because like he got drenched with like a bucket of water at one point, and he fell flat on his ass, like onto his back. It's like, what is this? What, now all water, even moving water, fucking takes him down? Like this isn't what it's supposed to be. It's like when he was in that I'm gonna call it I was gonna call it a ventriloquist tank. The fucking tank of water.
Well,
Like
you'd be a
it was
dummy
up
if
to
you
his.
did.
Yeah, I know, right? Like the tank doesn't speak. But like it was up to his ankles and Luffy couldn't move. I'm like, okay, like what like how are they stretching the rules of Devil Fruit here?
I guess. Yeah. I guess the issue is like it's. I don't know. Not entirely defined, other than like if you fall in water, you're done basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even in normal One Piece, it's always a little bit ambiguous. Like,
Yeah.
when does... Now, generally speaking, you have to be largely submerged for it to take effect.
Mm.
Like, if it was just up to your knees, you're probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that's fair. I would say that in that case, it doesn't really matter too much, because he's trapped. He was already shown to not be able to open the cage.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't matter if he was weak or strong at all. So whatever. It's not great.
My biggest biggest gripe is the Zoro or not recovering, but like after Mihawk scene where he promises Luffy to become the greatest swordsman. I really think they botched that scene because it's in the manga it's incredibly emotional. He's like bawling his eyes out, and I get that you can't show One Piece crying in like a real live action thing. Like it gets jarring, but there's like this beautiful scene in this manga where he's like crying and he's like, I promise to become the greatest swordsman. And he lowers his bandana over his eyes to like kind of cover up the tears. And in the show, we get like stoic Zoro. He wasn't crying at all during that scene.
And he got one single tear, bro.
I didn't see it. I didn't fucking see it. And he still put his bandana over his eyes like he was bawling his eyes out. I didn't see the tear. If you saw a tear, I didn't. I don't know. The acting for me in that scene wasn't nearly as emotional as it needed to be. Mm-hmm. And it kind of felt like with him lowering his bandana, it's like, okay, you're trying to like replicate an exact panel in the manga without like the actual like emotional energy to get there. And that was like the one that really pissed me off. But
honestly, I felt Zoro in general was almost too stoic throughout the entire experience.
Agreed.
Like there was way too much of him, I don't know, being edgy.
Yeah.
Being edgy, no emotion boy.
The little quips he kept doing were like...
Oh, I really hate the all great fighters call out their finishing move, and then Zoro says no they don't. When, actual manga Zoro obviously calls out all his fucking moves. He has a ton of them, and they're all like jokes. Like all of his moves, like they translate to like Demon Slash, but they also translate to like Rice Ball. So, yeah. Like, that's the jokes of all his moves and stuff. So it's kind of weird that he doesn't do that, and he's the one that thinks it's stupid. That's not Zoro. That doesn't feel right. You could have made, like, an okay joke where he does call out the moves at the end, and then he's the one who says all great fighters call out their finishing moves. And, like, he's moved on from being edgy and just does it as well.
Oh, it's probably going to happen next season.
Well, that's stupid. I don't like that. He should have been the one to say that to Sanji, not Sanji saying that to Zoro. It would have been a good way to... Well, it would have shown maybe Zoro lightening up, right? That just being with Luffy is... And the general, like, fun nature of Luffy is lightening up Zoro.
Yeah.
And that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But no, that doesn't happen. Just Sanji says it.
I think that is going to be a part of Zoro's story, that he is going to be lightening up, because at this point, because now Luffy and Sanji are calling out their finishing moves, Zoro might think to himself, hey, maybe I'm the wrong one. All good fighters might actually call out their finishing moves.
It's gonna happen, but I mean...
It's gonna happen. It just feels weird that it didn't happen in this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Usopp called out his finishing move.
Because Usopp's based.
Usopp is based. He single-handedly took out thousands of fishmen in the forest by himself.
I mean, that fight is fairly true to the manga, where it's a lot of Usopp running away, and then he tricks the guy and gets like a good move off. I think Usopp's a little more proactive in the manga in that fight. I feel that he is. Yeah, he runs away in that fight in the manga, and the Fishman's like, well, I don't really need to care about you, I can just kill these villagers. And then Usopp fires like the burning star at him and continues to taunt him and drag him away from the villagers. So yeah, he is running away, but he was doing it to like protect people in that particular instance.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel in this one he largely is just running away. It's a bit iffy, but it's fine. Usopp is like the coward loser character, but the general thing about Usopp is he's the coward loser character, but he always, at some point, he gets the bravery to do the thing and succeeds. I didn't feel that as much with this Usopp He did literally nothing in his intro arc.
Yeah, was a little
Yeah.
disappointed that Usopp was kind of garbed for the
With
Kuro
Kuro,
fight.
he uses the slingshot once against Kuro.
Yeah.
It gets blocked, and then he's just out. He's just out of the fight. In the manga, he like comes up with like schemes, like oiling down the slope and stuff to stop the pirate and stuff, to show that he's like pretty smart and crafty, not like an outwardly strong fighter. Whereas I don't think we got that impression here.
I thought there was gonna be a callback to like. So I thought because they were all hanging out in the kitchen, right? Usopp was just going to have a bunch of food with him and like I don't know, shoot eggs at him or some shit. Like I don't know. It's really disappointing to me that it was like one shot and then he gives up.
Also, I guess my biggest issue with costuming is why does Usopp not have a big nose? Where is the big nose prosthetic? Where is it?
Good question.
It's true.
They're cowards.
They didn't want to damage any prosthetics. That's why Luffy didn't snap Arlong's nose in half, too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We could go through and say all the things that never happened, like Luffy not having the teeth hands or the teeth.
Oh yeah, where Arlong literally
Yeah.
like would pull out his teeth and use them as like weird claw things.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a somewhat issue. Is that in One Piece, like proper fights are pretty comedic, like almost all the time. There's oftentimes lots of little jokes throughout fights. In this, all fights are quite serious, and they never really joke in the middle of them, which is unfortunate because Luffy's the entire point of making him rubber was so that Oda could, have the fights be kind of silly.
Yeah.
Like that's what he wanted. And these fights really aren't that silly, like at all.
Yeah, there's just a lot of Luffy punching people in this.
Oh yeah, he is not very creative with the rubber.
And like we start to get that with Arlong, but I feel like it's the Kuro fight in particular, like Luffy has to like really think about like how he uses his arms, and like I think by the end of the original fight he like basically grapples him and then smashes him in the face.
Yeah.
Well, in the
with his
original
head.
fight, he like rubber wraps his arms all around Kuro's. Like he is like welded to the guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this one, he's just like kind of strongly grabs him.
Yeah, which is, I don't know. It's just like, it's
I
innocent,
think
whatever. But like, why the fuck does Kuro not just keep using the flash step thing? Like, that's the whole thing in the original. Is like he keeps using the flash step thing, and Luffy kind of has to figure out how to grab him. In this, we just go to him being at like relatively normal speeds and just fighting him normally. I guess because he's pissed off. I don't know. It is a little disappointing.
And this is where the middle 4 episodes suffer. And it's 110% because they have to keep cutting back to the Marines. They don't have enough time to flesh out those areas of the show. Like, if you look at the manga or the anime, right? It's like, oh, the Usopp pirates. Usopp and his 10,000 men fleet.
Oh yeah,
then-
where are those little kids? I want to see the little kid. I want to see more little kid actors. That's what I wanted.
Where's not Steven Tyler? The guy who was there to hypnotize Kaya into giving Kuro her fortune.
Yeah.
Where's
Kaya, out of her own-
Django?
Yeah, where is Django?
Thought that's who you meant by who's not
Yeah.
Steven Tyler. Yeah,
No, that
okay.
is who you meant.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm giving him the real name. His
Yeah.
name is Django.
No, his name is not Steven Tyler.
It's actually weird. They don't have Django, but they did have Full Body.
Yeah.
And in the manga, like Django and Full Body become like best friends and Marines underneath Ina.
Yeah.
It's a weird combo that they continue to still show us to this day.
I liked the weird slasher mansion bit of Kuro's part.
Oh yeah, that wasn't terrible.
I think that was a change that was actually kind of effective.
Mm-hmm.
It was entertaining.
I think one issue of that is that in the manga, Kuro's plan is to have his pirates attack the village, and in that attack, he'll kill Kaya and say it was the pirates, and thus just inherit all her wealth. So it made way more sense for Usopp to run into town and start saying the pirates are coming, the pirates are coming. Because the
Yep.
pirates were literally
True.
coming
Yeah.
to kill everyone.
Yeah.
In this, he's just running through town saying, guys, help me. Kuro's a pirate. You are all normal people
Who?
who really cannot beat Captain Kuro.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how is any of those people going to help? I could, if he ran to the Marines, which technically at that point he kind of does, but it's more like he happens upon the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
That would make some sense. It's a bit weird. I'm not the biggest fan of that because of that change. It leads to Usopp's whole boy who cried wolf thing not working out nearly as well as I think it does in the original. Because who's gonna go help him?
Yeah.
That one guy who came out of his house just to fucking full force punch him in the face.
Just- That's why I didn't have the nose. They didn't want to break the nose with the punch.
Yeah, there you go.
Should have had the nose. Fucking cowards.
You think this is gonna get normies into One Piece?
Normies? Maybe.
I mean, it's doing really well. Like,
Yeah.
it's #1 on Netflix in, like, multiple countries.
I just wonder if that's because of the sheer number, like volume of One Piece fans, though.
No, yeah, fair.
Like,
But because it's #1 on Netflix, that generally means it goes to the top of, like, the list,
true.
Mhm.
which will make a lot of people check it out. I don't know if that will translate to more people checking out the actual anime or the actual manga,
Yeah.
but, you know, whatever. It's
And
I'm not
before people start calling the show the original.
oof.
Oof.
One Piece is already the best-selling, like, comic graphic novel in the world. I'm not worried about it, like, needing more fans or anything.
Mm-hmm.
If this makes someone say, hey, this was kind of neat, I'm curious as to what the source material is like and checking it out, I think that's great. And I'd be really happy for that guy because he's about to experience something really cool.
Mm-hmm.
This One Piece is great. I hope he starts from the beginning and not goes, oh, I've already seen this stuff. I don't need to. That would be. I feel bad for a person who decides to do that,
Mm-hmm.
especially because there's changes. Like, you know, you don't meet Garp. You don't meet Garp until like episode like 300 or something of the actual
Yeah, I
anime.
know.
They
Like,
missed the treasure chest guy.
yeah, we didn't get Gaimon, we didn't get Johnny and Yosaku.
Oh yeah, Johnny and Yasuku. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that they're not there. They have some good moments.
Nami didn't steal the Mary.
No,
Yeah.
Like, it definitely. They portrayed it in a way that it was incredibly clear that Nami wanted to be a Straw Hat. And I think it would have served her character better to have it more faithful to the manga. To have her just up and leave with the Mary. Yeah, I'm a thief. I was just stealing from you. We'll all get fucked. But no. Like, she kind of just left with Arlong. Don't know how. Arlong swam there, but... Wah.
no, I largely agree. I think Nami does a better job of like trying to push the Straw Hats away
Yeah.
in the original manga, as opposed to this, where I don't think she does a great job of pushing them away.
No, she just keeps saying, "Oh, I'm not a member of your crew. We're not a crew."
Yeah. There's also like good moments in the manga that do not happen here, like when she quote unquote kills Zoro in the manga. That does
Mhm.
not happen in this
Yeah.
instance because Zoro never shows up at Arlong Park before anyone else.
Mhm.
Uh, there are some nice little. So, I'm thinking of Zoro again, and I like that there's some nice little nods to his lack of direction. It's never like overtly stated. I think there are like two main examples where he says the mansion is a maze, and he's walking to town instead of going to the mansion and thought he was going to the mansion.
Mhm.
Uh, because this gets like so exacerbated later in the manga and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even in the original manga, at this point, Zoro's lack of direction is not like a big deal. Like, they do not comment on it too much. But later, there's like moments where character says, "We just need to go up those stairs," and he immediately turns right and runs down a different hallway. Zoro is a comedic character. He's far more serious than most Straw Hats, but he's still a comedic character, and I think that's a flaw in this.
I want to see that actor emote more. I
that'd
felt
be
that
nice.
was seriously lacking.
But you know what isn't lacking? They're not afraid to kill characters.
That's true. There are a lot of character deaths.
Like Mary's just fucking dead.
Yeah, Mary's dead in the manga. What he like gets shot,
Yeah.
and you think he's dead, but then he's fine by the end.
They introduced the concept of Baroque works in episode 1.
Yeah,
and
no,
Zoro
there's
just fucking cut Mr. 7 in half.
yeah. They are definitely setting up the idea of future seasons, which, yeah, I feel that considering that it's doing pretty well, I think there's a good chance they'll get a season 2.
Yeah.
But you know what there isn't a good chance of? Elvita getting the smooth fruit.
Oh yeah, the slip.
That is the question. Are we going to reach fat phobia territory when it comes to that?
We are
I
not.
didn't think they were gonna pull the trigger on Kuina saying, "You're a boy. I'll never be as strong as you," and they did. So who knows?
It's the whole character. Like
Who
with
knows?
Kuina. That's her whole character.
It'd be hard to
Without-
remove that.
With Elvita, they're just not going to give her the slip fruit. It's not going to happen.
From the beginning, the actor should have been thin and wearing like a fat suit.
Yeah, that's what
That
I'm
way-
saying.
That way they could just take it off for the slip fruit.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, that actress either would have to lose like a ton of weight, or they would just have to hire a totally different actress to play Elvita. And I don't think they'll do it. I'm sure Elvita will just be as she is right now. I think the casting that they did for her was pretty good in the current incarnation. I think the actress did a good job. It's just, unfortunately, that character goes through like a dramatic visual appearance change, which would probably require like an unhealthy amount of weight loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a total recast, which I feel would be, I mean, either case feels kind of unfair to that actress. So that's kind of an unfortunate situation there. So she probably won't get the fruit. They probably just will ignore that. Honestly, Alvita's a very minor character even after this point.
Oh, yeah.
She's largely just becomes like Buggy's like second in command after this point.
I'm glad that Luffy. It's really easy
We've
to make.
like barely talked about Luffy.
Yeah. So let's get back to Luffy. I'm glad he wasn't too annoying. Because I've heard a lot of English dubs, and most of them piss me off.
Yeah.
This wasn't a super annoying Luffy. It was actually a more introspective Luffy.
I found Luffy was almost too introspective throughout this.
Yeah.
There was too much of like basically, am I being a good captain? When Luffy is far too simple for that.
It took me a while to get used to new Luffy. I'm gonna say it. It took me until like probably episode 3 or 4 to get used to it.
Unfortunately, I don't think Luffy sells all of his lines. There's a lot of times I just don't really feel it. Like when Luffy's like supposed to be like really pissed and is like actually being angry, I don't feel it. And when Luffy is like really like joyous, I don't feel it as much from this. Now, to be fair, I think this is largely just because Luffy's like Japanese voice actress is great.
Yeah.
Like she's really good. Luffy is so well voiced in the anime and stuff that it's hard to like compare at all. But like whenever he said I'm gonna be king of the pirate, it never felt right compared to how I know Luffy to talk.
Yeah.
Instead of
also
like bellowing it at the top of your lungs, it was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna be
I'm
king
going
of
to
the
be king of
pirates.
the pirates. There's a little accent,
Yeah, his little Brazilian
little
accent there.
Brazilian accent.
yeah, I mean that's fine.
It's fine.
I'm okay with the characters having accents. Although it's weird that Luffy would have that accent and then Garp is like very Scottish.
Well,
Yeah, I know, right? It's
don't think
like
about it too much.
Looper.
Like those are very different accents. And in this, it seems that Garp actually did somewhat train Luffy, like
Mm.
actually kind of raised him a little bit, as
Mhm.
opposed to in normal One Piece when he just gives him to a group of mountain bandits and tells them to race him.
Maybe he just got like fed up after he built that little barge. It's like, you know what, fuck it, you're going to the bandits now.
The thing I really appreciate about Garp in this is that he seems really serious and really stoic. Like, okay, we're gonna have a really boring character, and then he like as it goes on, he starts to become the Garp we know and love.
Yeah, he definitely becomes more Garp-esque
Yeah,
as things goes on. Like he starts like laughing at stuff, especially when like Luffy deflects the cannonball and stuff.
yeah.
I wish we had gotten more of that. There are just large portions where he just really doesn't feel like Garp. He just feels like a serious marine guy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I also there's like a it's like a weird thing where there where like a character talks about how another character is stopping them from having their dreams, and like Luffy points out that this person is stopping them from having their dreams, and this is like right after the flashback where like Garp destroys Luffy's like pretend pirate ship. So it's like, are you like doing some kind of weird like parallel where you're trying to make Garp out to be like this bad person stopping Luffy from having his dreams?
Hmm.
Because that's a bit weird, because Luffy loves Garp,
Yeah.
right? Like, the first time we meet Garp, Luffy's like, I mean, he's kind of scared, but he's also kind of like excited because it's his grandfather, and he loves his grandfather.
Yeah.
It's also something that happens at like episode 300, and all the characters are shocked that Luffy's grandfather is a legendary vice admiral.
No, man, let's have everyone figure that out at like the end of what was it, episode
It's
what
basically like
episode? Two?
right when they get to the Baratie. I forget the exact episode,
Hmm.
but like they learn it on right after Syrup Village. I like they make it seem in this one they make it seem like, oh, this is a big deal. Luffy's betrayed us with not telling us this knowledge
Yeah.
or something. Whereas I don't know, when it happens in episode 300 and they're all close friends and they all know Luffy's just like an actual idiot who wouldn't even think about this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the dynamic's different for sure.
the dynamic's different, and I'm not the biggest fan of that choice.
It's yeah. It's kind of forced melodrama to to a very big point, I'd say. Like it just like the way that like starts to like create tension between them and what is a captain like
Oh yeah, what is the
is One Piece like really about this kind of introspection stuff?
I also really thinking about like adding like drama, unnecessary like drama. The Zoro coma talk to him in the coma thing.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. I don't remember that in the manga at all. I'm pretty sure that Mihawk cuts him, and they're like, "Yeah, Mihawk says, don't worry, he'll live," and they bandage him up, and he lives, and like
Yeah.
it hurts him throughout the like the wound hurts him throughout Arlong Park.
Mhm.
But at no point is anyone going like, "Oh no, will Zoro make it? Let's read him a storybook for
Yeah,
some reason."
let's read him the story of Mont Blanc Nolan, the filthy liar piece of shit who lied to his king.
Yeah, when that won't be relevant for a fucking long time.
My favorite
Like,
part was when Nami read like two fucking words on a page and then turned the page and then read three more words and then turned the page.
Well, she's just using like the real big type font for people with visual
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why did I say visual problems? I just said for people with bad eyes.
Nami the cartographer, known for having terrible eyes.
Yeah, no, I did not like the will Zoro live.
Will Zoro live bit? Yeah.
It's a bit
Like Mihawk did
lame.
even say in the show, yeah, Zoro will live.
Yeah.
So it didn't need to be a big thing. I will say that they nailed down the portrayal of Zeph. I could believe Zeph's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they did a pretty good job
Yeah.
with Zeph. They decided not to focus on the other chefs. There are like two main chefs that
Yeah.
also like shit on Sanji.
Yeah. Black
Yeah.
Popeye and the guy with the sunglasses, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They decided not to focus on them too much. They're there, but they're not like relevant. They're just fine. They did
Yeah.
only have 8 episodes. I get
Yeah.
it. Although, you know, maybe if you didn't have all the marine stuff, you could have
Look,
done more. I don't like the marine stuff. I'm sorry. It's stupid.
Unnamed guest, okay? Would you rather have Kobe helping out trying to help Zoro escape? Or would you rather have a scene where Helmeppo's standing in front of a mirror naked with a sword?
Oh, the Helmeppo naked scene is stupid.
I didn't need to see Helmeppo naked. I wasn't expecting that.
That was definitely before the show won me over. That shit, like, I was still in, oh, okay, we're gonna have stupid fucking scenes like this.
Okay, yeah, so to go, a scene I actually really don't like, now I'm thinking about it, is the rice ball scene.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about the later stuff. We haven't talked a lot about the early stuff.
Yep.
The rice ball scene sucks in comparison to how it normally is.
Yep.
In the manga, Zoro has been starving for days, and this little girl makes these really bad rice balls. Like, they are not good. So, and tries to feed them to Zoro because he helped her, like he saved her in some capacity. I forget the exact context.
Something to do with
It's something like that. But I think that's the reason he was strung up, was he helped her.
Yeah.
So she's doing that, and like Helmeppo like stomps on them and crap. And then Zoro eats them anyway, straight off the ground, because this little girl like legitimately was working hard for his sake when he was tied up and starving. And he says it's delicious, despite the fact that like it's, one, they weren't good to begin with, and two, they're covered in dirt and crap.
Yeah.
And it's a much better scene in the manga than this, where it's just, I mean, she did a nice thing by giving him some weird rice balls with chocolate.
Yeah, but like, what's a child doing in a bar anyway?
Well, I think it's implied that she's the daughter of the bar owner. And she's just helping out at her family's bar. That's not even that weird. Yeah, because the bartender says something like, "Don't bother customers" or some bullshit. And then Helmeppo does it. So like it hits like a lot of the beats, but it doesn't have the emotional weight behind like how hard this girl's actually working to try to help Zoro.
Yeah.
And another part of that is just like at the end when Kobe punches Helmeppo, it's like, oh yeah, like he punches him out. It's like, oh yeah, he really had that coming. And it's like, Kobe, you weren't here for like fucking any of that. You showed up at the end and punched him out. Like,
you know what? Of all arcs, I think that first one with the Marine base is probably the worst one of the series.
Oh, agreed.
Like, this season.
Agreed.
Like, Axe-Hand Morgan gets decommissioned at the end of it. For what reason? I don't know. We didn't see him being a bad Marine captain. That's for sure. He seemed just like... He just felt like a normal Marine captain. It didn't go into any of, like, he's abusing his subordinates or anything like that.
Yeah, they definitely didn't make Axe-Hand
true, yeah.
They didn't make him to be as bad as he actually is.
Yeah.
Kobe's punch against Helmeppo. In the manga, he punches Luffy.
Yeah.
Right at the end, they go like, you're associated with pirates,
Or is it it's the other way around? It's Luffy punching him.
it might be both.
Okay.
I definitely last night I was like looking through random chapters of One Piece.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a scene where Kobe punches Luffy.
Okay.
To show that he's not a pirate and he wants to be with the Marines. Like, it is a show of his determination to become a Marine.
Yep.
And like Luffy gets this and he's just like basically like, good for you kind of thing. I'll see you later when you're trying to capture me. We don't get the cool moment because we focus so much on Kobe so far. We don't get the cool moment where we get the Kobe glow up.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Garp has said like, I'm gonna train you guys. So maybe those guys just will not be in the next season.
Probably not. It looks like they've set up for Smoker. So
well, they're definitely setting up for Smoker.
Yeah, I can't wait to be Chaser.
I just have to assume the next season goes through like Smoker entering the Grand Line and Baroque Works.
Yes.
Yep.
It's gotta be it. Who's ready for Chopper? Who's ready for CGI monstrosity?
That's gonna
Chopper?
be real bad.
It's gonna be a child in like prosthetics.
A child with prosthetics? I don't know what's worse.
Or a dwarf with prosthetics.
Oh god. Fuck me. I want to see more blood. I'll be honest. Mihawk cutting Zoro, blood everywhere in the anime. Blood fucking anywhere. I saw that wound Zoro had. He wasn't even bleeding.
Well, that would have given it a mature rating.
People already said fucking shit. I think they'd already have that.
No, they have a 14 rating. But with that much blood, it would probably have to go up to a mature
Get Tarantino on the line for specifically the Crocodile and Luffy fight. We need a lot of blood for that one.
Yeah. No, he's gonna use his sweat.
Tarantino. That man believes that humans are blood balloons.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's funny.
How do you guys feel about the red hair pirate?
I mean, they're fine.
They are perfectly fine, actually.
There's nothing really wrong with any of them. I like that in the brief moments we see them fight, we get to see Yasop do like a cool ricochet to show how good a sharpshooter he is.
Yeah.
We get to see Beckman use a gun as a club, which is how he always fights. He always just uses a gun as a club.
My boy Lucky Roo beat the shit out of somebody with a lamb shank.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That lamb shank wasn't big enough.
That is actually, that's a way bigger than complaint than everything else. The food wasn't nearly big enough in this fucking series.
You hear this, Netflix? Next time, bigger food.
Bigger food.
Luffy's eating a fucking chicken leg. I want that to be the size of 5 of his heads.
Yeah, I think Shanks is largely okay.
Yeah.
Both him and Luffy's scars, I think they needed to do something to make them more prominent.
Yeah.
I think Shanks were fine. Luffy's was a little too faded. Same with Garp's. I couldn't see Garp's half the time either.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the like get out scene with the Lord of the Coast. Also, Luffy doesn't punch the Lord of the Coast when he leaves.
Oh yeah,
which is like kind of a big thing. So that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. How did you feel about how subtle the hockey was?
It didn't seem subtle at all.
Like the sizes of his pupil changed. That's it. And it's like that's how they're gonna portray that hockey was used.
I don't know. It's hard to do that. Because in the original, there's like cool like action lines to like emphasize how like serious Shanks is at that very moment.
It's very anime.
Yeah. It's hard to do the I gave you a look so menacing you ran away in live action as much.
Even like an audible sting would have helped.
Yeah, I think maybe if there was an audible sting, it would have, because I felt it lacked some impact.
Because like you can't give him like cat eyes or anything like that. That'd be a little too out there.
Yeah,
But like if they did the pupil thing, made it like quick with a sting, maybe that would have been fine.
yeah.
But,
Also,
like, I didn't feel like it had impact.
they were in a boat. The cowards.
I know, right?
They
Right.
should have been in the water. Shanks has to be vigorously kicking under the water.
We've just spent about 20 minutes hitting up nitpicks for this show.
Fair.
Is there anything you guys actually kind of liked? Any changes that you guys actually appreciated?
I mean, changes I appreciate it. I'm so much of a purist that I don't really have one.
Fair enough.
Appreciate isn't the right word, but I understand why they structured the show the way they did.
Yeah, I can see why there were things that were cut. I can kind of see why they did the Marine thing, because they got an actor for Kobe and they wanted to use him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should have used Smoker instead of Garp for the
Mhm.
Marine stuff, just because the Smoker relentlessly chasing Luffy makes a lot more sense.
Then you don't have the family drama.
Would have liked to see more of the Krieg pirates, but like, what can you do? At
Yeah.
least we got Adon Krieg.
Oh, I love that scene with Mihawk where he's like casually talking
Yeah.
to Garp on the phone while absolutely destroying the Krieg
Fucking
pirates.
cuts the ship in half. Sick.
That's what I wanted more of. I wanted more of this like
Yeah.
overly superhuman bullshit.
Big action. Big consequences. Big environmental damage.
And I really like how they did the Mihawk cut wave.
Yeah.
Because, in the anime and stuff, it's basically like a big green like
Beam.
slash beam.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't work in live action. So just having it go across the water and seeing it like cut through the wave feels really good. Like I think they did a good job with that.
Now, speaking of being on the phone, how do you feel about the design of the Den Den Mushi? And that you have to feed them.
I liked them. I liked how weird they were.
Oh yeah, they're ugly, but I like it.
Yeah.
I really liked Nami's little like Bluetooth Den Den Mushi.
Yeah. Little, yeah.
I thought that was a little
earpiece.
I thought that was a little pointless because they literally actually do have like wristwatch Den Mushis in an actual One Piece. So having like a Bluetooth earpiece one is a little pointless. They could have just used the wristwatch style. But it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
And then like the main ones, I guess the only issue with those is the Den Mushis. They change their appearance based on who's talking. But in this, they just have to have a set appearance. Like the one on Captain Morgan's desk looks like Captain Morgan, which doesn't make any sense because it would be the one on the other end that looks like Captain Morgan. Yeah. Which is, again,
whatever.
They cannot do the manga anime thing where it changes in a frame kind of thing, and characters don't have distinctive faces the way they do in the anime that you can replicate with the I almost called them squirrels for some reason, with the snails. Like when Kizaru talks into a Den Mushi, the Den Mushi on the other end has his like very particular mouth. A lot of the child acting sucked.
I liked Sanji.
I was gonna say Sanji's the best.
Sanji was good.
I liked how they didn't pull any punches, and it didn't leave it ambiguous at all. Yes, Garp ate his leg.
Garp?
Yes, Garp. Zeph
Yum.
ate his leg. Garp would eat his leg if he needed to.
Oh yeah.
No, but like, it's like straight up. Yeah, I had no food. I ate my leg.
I don't know. It's good. I mean, Sanji's backstory has always been pretty good.
Yeah.
Until they change it later.
Yeah.
We don't think about that.
Actually, the change later isn't even that bad.
Anyway.
But yeah, no. A lot of the child acting is a little iffy because child acting is always iffy. But Sanji's was actually quite good.
Yeah.
I didn't like Zoro's child acting, and think it was Nami's child acting. I think Luffy's child acting was pretty spot on.
It's a child I wouldn't kill.
Well, he can't. He's made of rubber.
How'd that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.
Stop. Anyway.
They
This
fucked
was
us
this.
over. We didn't get Gaimon, but you know what? We got Little Buggy, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, this was perfectly fine. I think the scores of 90 or like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes are a little fucking high for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that I enjoyed it.
Rotten Tomatoes that's different. That's a rating of like the percentage of people that say it's worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
It's not like someone saying something that's like a 7 out of 10 can still get like a 96% on like Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because a 7 is someone saying, yeah, it's worth it.
True.
And this is definitely not a 9, an 8 or a 9.
No.
I'd
probably like
say
a
it's
7.
probably a 7. It's not offensive. I'll probably watch season 2 if it comes out.
It definitely, yeah. I'm curious to see what they do. I would watch season 2.
I do want to see horrible CGI Chopper.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to CGI Chopper.
Yeah.
And you know, when they enter the Grand Line, things get like more wacky and out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm very curious to see how they do someone like Wapol.
Yeah.
And just eating everything.
How are they gonna do zones?
If they fucking iceberg Laboon, I riot.
No, Laboon has to be there.
Yeah, so ultimately the main thing I'm always looking for is just to be a pretty faithful adaptation.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
they literally have the framework. They can just do it.
Yeah.
So
I'm
if
curious. I'm curious to see who they would cast for Dragon, and if they would bother with it at all. Because
Yeah.
literally
One
scene,
fucking scene. Yeah.
and then that character will basically never show up ever.
All right, you've got a contract for the next 20 years, Belle. Belle, can you?
How far are we seeing this series going? Like, if they get a season 2, up to what point do they stop with season 2?
Well, with season 2, I think they'll go to the end of Baroque Works.
So through straight till the end of Alabasta?
Yeah. I think we'll get through Alabasta. They may skip like an island or something.
If they do that, like I feel like they would need for it to be more than 8 episodes. They won't be able to do all the way to the end of Alabasta in 8 episodes. Not gonna happen.
No,
Maybe 12.
fair.
They could do it in 12, probably.
It's something like
You
that.
still have to have Logtown, entering the Grand Line, meeting Baroque Works, Laboon, hit up Little Garden, Nami gets sick, hit up Drum Island, leave there, do everything in Alabasta.
Yeah, no, there is a lot to cover. There's probably a lot you can cut down in Alabasta. There's a lot of Alabasta that's just trying to get places.
Yeah.
That could be very quickly cut down.
Yeah.
But you are right in that 8 episodes may be a bit too little for that. Maybe 10, maybe 12.
Mm-hmm.
But, we'll have to see, like, if Netflix goes like, well, this did really well, so, you get your second season and a bit extra.
Yeah.
And then we'll see from there, because Netflix is well known for canceling things at season 2.
This was probably the first live action adaptation of any cartoon or series that I didn't want to blow my brains out by the end of it.
I don't know, like anime, I'd say it's a good live action adaptation. But like, if you've ever watched the 1990s Flintstones with John Goodman, you can see that like you can translate soon to live action pretty okay-ish.
Yes. The true bar has been set.
Flintstones.
Does One Piece cross the Flintstones bar?
I think Yabba Dabba does.
It's good. It's good. It's fine.
Yeah, it's.
I would never watch this over the original, but for what it's worth, it's good.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not a, especially in terms of like the Netflix ones. It's not a Netflix Death Note. It's not a Netflix Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah,
which are both like nightmares.
Oh shit!
What?
We forgot to talk about the Mary, the most important character.
I mean,
How do you guys like the design of the Mary?
it's fine.
Fine.
The goat used to look a lot more like scary, right? In like
Yeah.
pre-production. Yeah, okay. It was a far more realistic goat in early production, and they moved it for good reason, I would say, to a more faithful design.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, like the Mary's nice and all, but it doesn't really come in as like feeling like its own character till later.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's just a ship.
Yeah, right now she's just a ship.
Okay, but yeah, I think that's everything. They didn't have the sea cow. What the fuck?
They didn't have the sea cow.
Anyway, that's it. I don't really have much else.
If this whole podcast is a fucking indicator of anything, it's that if there's all these cool ass things in the manga for everyone out there to discover, and hopefully this brings people in and somebody gets to read something that's truly fantastic.
Yeah, you should hop on to like the whatever Shonen Jump's like main website, give them like the $2 to read all you want and just read through all of One Piece or some bullshit.
Or
Except
you
don't do that because the official version uses fucking Zolo. Anyway,
Ye-
let's not actually shill too much.
There are ways, people will find them.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, cool. I think we're good.
Anyway, we will see you guys next time. Next video is gonna be really funny. It's gonna be really shit. Big bomb. I've been your Kaznarius. With me has been the nameless uninvited guest.
Yep.
And Sliv.
And I'm gonna be king of the content creators.
See you next time. Dreamin'. Don't give it up.
Give it up. Give it up.
His name is Luffy. That's Monkey D. Luffy. King of the pirates. Face made a rubber.